Kyle's question, another Kyle. Lots of Kyles and Jakes.
Kyles and Jakes.
In the chat.
Kyle. I'm trying to put together these boy band names, seeing if they work. You know, Tony worked. I don't know. Jake. Y'all made fun of that. Maybe Kyle. Keep going.
You let us know. But moving on to this Kyle's question. He says, I'm taking my side gig to full-time. I've done my 3D plan and built up the emergency reserves. Is there anything else that I should do to prepare to take that leap?
So I think so for somebody who's just now hearing this, you heard the question, like, oh, 3D, what's that? And okay, this guy chose to do a side gig. The side gig must have done well enough that now a side gig can become his primary gig. I think a lot of people have that question. Hey, I want to do the side gig, or I've been doing this side gig and it's gone so well, I want to make the leap. And now he already alluded to two things we say, but for everyone else, I think we ought to talk about saving up for an emergency, saving up for the powder money to get you through, and then, of course, the 3D plan before you go to make that jump.
Yeah, I mean, I think, by the way, Kyle, super exciting. And it sounds like you've done a lot of the homework. So this is kind of just a review course. When I talk about putting on your 3D glasses, what we're talking about is create a kind of a mini business plan where you think about the three scenarios that this could go. This could go the dream, holy cow, we're going to be rich. This is the down to earth, what we actually think will happen. And then we have the doo-doo plan, which is, oh my goodness, we are going to be poor. This is a disaster. How do we recover from this? Now, I want to make sure, Kyle, that as I reviewed the 3D glasses, I know when I did this for myself, I did a 3 to 5 year plan. So I don't want you just to figure out the first 12 months. I want you to figure out the first 3 to 5 years through each of these three perspectives, because I will tell you, it took me 3 years for the cash reserves had to make it through that 3-year period. So those two, when you talk about the cash reserves, because that's what you're going to do once you do the 3D plan, you're going to make sure you have enough liquid capital to get you through whatever scenario you think is going to be playing out for you. Because that's the part where when I hear about entrepreneurs and the high percentage that fail, I think it's not the passion. It's not even all the times the aptitude or the ability to do this where you can find clients. A lot of times it's just people run out of money. They can't stay. The stick with it runs out of fuel, and then it kind of implodes upon itself. So the cash reserves is super important, Kyle. So make sure that those two are integrated and connected, because you do want to have some connections there. And then the third thing I had written down was just communication. I mean, this is one, I don't know if you're married, if you're single. I had a significant other when I went through my journey, and I just had to structure the mindset, not for just me, because it's easy for us financial mutants to get ourselves in super focused territory, and we think we're all, we're going to make this happen. But if you're not doing a good job of communicating this with other loved ones and people in your life to kind of work on this, you might be setting yourself up for failure, because you need to have buy-in from everyone. And then I'll put a bonus, because while we're talking about communication, I think if you're about to make this jump, one of the best things I did, now it didn't bear a ton of fruit at the time, but it did in the long term because people gave me feedback. I wrote pretty much everyone that I felt like cared about me and could potentially in the long term be a part of my business process. I wrote them a letter just letting them know what I was, the why and what I was attempting to do. And maybe that's an email now because I'm old, but I did. And I think I look back on that letter, and then I did updates for like the first 2 years, because you do want to get some buy-in. So also this could help, because you're trying to prime the pump. I know when you're starting a new endeavor, it sounds like since your side gig has turned to full-time, it's going well for you, but I needed a little extra boost. And why not use that love as a powerful consideration of just sharing with people the journey you're on. So in case you never know who might be listening or hear it and be like, hey, I'd love to be a part of that too. And then maybe they become a customer, or they become something that helps bear fruit for you as well.
The only thing that I would add to that is when you are making this decision to go from a side gig to it being your full-time thing. I mean, entrepreneurship is one of the greatest things in the world. It's so fun. It's an exciting journey, but it can be all-encompassing. And so make sure you understand going into this what really is your why. I've got a dear friend of mine. He said, man, I had to leave the corporate world. I wanted to make an impact in the world. So we started this food company, and it's just blown up. And it's this really, really successful, super awesome food company. I was talking with him a few months ago. I was like, man, I love what I do so much, but I've become a slave to it. The whole reason that I became an entrepreneur was so I'd have all the freedom in the world, and now I have all the success, I've got no freedom at all. So make sure that you understand, okay, what is it that I'm building? How am I going to build it? And what's the why behind the reason that I'm doing it? So that you don't just replace one full-time job you're trying to escape from to a full-time job where you're the boss that you still try to escape from. Try to structure it in a way that's conducive for the life that you ultimately want to live.
I mean, I feel like we have to create a lot of content, but don't you feel like we love what we do
Even
so
if
much?
the camera wasn't on, we'd be talking about this stuff.
I mean, that's what I feel. So I think it's okay. That's one more reason. Don't do it just for the money. Do
That's
it
right.
for the passion and love. But just make sure all the things are aligned. I think so many people, because our world we live in just says follow your heart. I'm telling you, there's a lot more planning, and you're doing that, Kyle. But you're gonna have success. You've checked a lot of the boxes. You're not taking it just for passion to carry be the jet fuel. You're actually counting on having resources and planning. Kudos to you.